The battlefield was silent now. Captain Marcus Hale opened his eyes to a sky filled with drifting ash. His ears were ringing and his body ached. He didn't remember the explosion that knocked him out. One moment he was giving orders to his squad, then light, fire, and silence. Now he lay alone in the wreckage of the shattered moon Aerolus, once home to a peaceful outpost. It was gone, just like his team. He pushed himself up, groaning, and saw only broken machines and burned stone around him. His armored suit was damaged, leaking air, and his helmet's display flickered with warnings. He had minutes, maybe less. Shadow fell over him. Not human. Tall figures in dark armor circled him. Virelians. Marcus had heard of them before. Proud, tall aliens with shining eyes, scaled skin, and sharp features. Warriors by birth, they ruled half the eastern sector of the Orion Reach. Earth had only spoken with them once, years ago. It had not ended well. One of them stepped forward and raised a metal staff. Before Marcus could reach for his sidearm, everything went black. He woke up again, but this time, alive and breathing clean air. He was in a high room with marble floors, glowing blue torches, and banners covered in alien symbols. His armor was gone, replaced with a simple robe. His wrists weren't tied. He was not in a cell. Then he saw her. Standing on a raised platform at the far end of the chamber, looking down at him, was Queen Aracene of Virelia. Tall, proud, and dressed in a royal battle cloak, she had golden eyes that stared with calm strength. Her skin shimmered with a faint silver-blue hue, but Marcus didn't notice her beauty first. He noticed what she held. In her hands was a sword, a human sword. It was old but sharp. Steel, hand-forged, earth origin. The kind of blade Marcus had trained with in his early years. How did she get it? She looked at him and spoke in a low, clear voice. Her accent was strange, but her words were easy to understand. This blade, she said, raising it slowly, was taken from a Terran warrior who once walked these stars. Your kind left it behind long ago. I have studied it for years. But steel means little without knowledge. She stepped down from the platform. Her footsteps were slow, deliberate. She stopped only a few feet from Marcus, still holding the blade. Teach me to wield it? She said. Marcus blinked. Was this a joke? Teach you sword fighting? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Why? Don't you people fight with energy spears and plasma hammers? We do, she replied. But those are weapons of the present. This, she lifted the blade, is a weapon of the mind. A sword has no power unless the hand behind it knows patience, balance, discipline. Marcus sat up slowly. His muscles still ached. You want a human to teach you about patience? Her lips curved slightly. I want a human to teach me what humans know best, how to fight when the odds say you should already be dead. He stared at her. That was a very human sentence. Over the next 3 days, Marcus was given food, rest, and a place to recover. He learned that he was deep inside the citadel of glass blades, the heart of the Virelian royal fortress. Most of the soldiers there didn't trust him. Some gave him cold looks. But no one stopped him. And every day, Queen Aracene came to the courtyard with the sword. She never smiled. She didn't joke. She didn't ask about Earth or human politics. She asked only about technique. How do you grip it without cutting? Yourself? How do you move without losing balance? How do you stay calm when death is near? Marcus answered at first with short replies. But as he watched her swing the sword, wildly at first, then with more care, he began to understand. She wasn't playing a game. She wasn't copying human traditions. She truly wanted to learn. And more than that, she was ready to change. One night, after a long session under the blue moons, Aracene stood in the courtyard with sweat on her brow and the sword in her hand. You Don't fight like us, she said, breathing hard. Varelians strike with fury. We break our enemies quickly. But you wait. You let them come. Marcus shrugged. Sometimes the enemy beats himself before you need to lift your sword. She looked at him with narrowed eyes. That idea would be laughed at in my court. Then maybe your court's been losing for longer than it admits, Marcus said without thinking. She didn't reply, but she didn't leave either. She simply looked at the sword, and for the first time, she held it properly. Late that night, as Marcus sat in the room given to him, he looked out across the spires of the alien city. He had no idea why he was still alive. He had no idea why an alien queen wanted him, of all people, to train her. But something told him this wasn't just about swordsmanship. It was about change, about an empire standing on the edge of something new. And at the heart of it all was a queen holding a human blade. The morning sky over Virelia was a soft purple, with two suns rising behind the silver towers of the citadel. In the open courtyard, Marcus Hale stood across from Queen Arasin, a wooden training sword in his hand. She held a matching one, her face calm but focused. Again, he said. Arasin stepped forward, swinging her sword from the right. Marcus blocked it easily, then stepped aside and tapped her on the back with his own. You're too slow when you turn your foot, he said. Balance first, power second. She nodded and reset her stance. Every morning for the past 10 days, they had trained here just after sunrise. Arasin never missed a session, never complained, and never hesitated to learn. She was not perfect, but she improved quickly. She had the fire of a warrior. But what she lacked was the human way of fighting, flexible, patient, creative. Marcus could see her mind changing, bit by bit, with every swing of the sword. Later that day, as they rested on the edge of a stone platform, Arasin looked toward the mountains in the distance. When I was a child, she said softly, my father told me that a queen does not kneel, and she does not learn. She commands. She knows everything already. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Bad parenting. She gave him a small smile, rare but warm. He believed strength came only from birth and blood, but that belief is killing us. Marcus nodded slowly. That's not just bad parenting. That's bad ruling. They sat in silence for a while, the wind brushing against their faces. I know my people see me as strange, Arasin said. They think I've become weak, listening to a human. But I don't care. I see the future coming. And it's not something we're ready for. Marcus looked at her carefully. You're talking about the Threx, aren't you? She nodded. They've already destroyed 2 of our outer colonies. No warning, no talks, just machines, eating everything. Marcus had seen the Threx before. Metallic creatures with no emotion, no fear. They didn't conquer planets. They consumed them. Earth had barely survived one attack years ago. You're right, he said. You're not ready, but you're getting there. Not everyone in the Citadel was happy with the Queen's new direction. General Casal, one of Arasin's top military commanders, watched the training sessions from a distance, his face cold and his arms crossed. He had served under Arasin's father and believed the old ways were sacred. To him, Marcus was a threat, a stranger who was poisoning the Queen with strange ideas. He met with a group of senior nobles in secret chambers beneath the Citadel. She brings shame to the throne, one said. She calls a Terran her teacher, another added. What's next? Humans commanding our fleets. Casal raised his hand to quiet them. No, she will not be removed by words, but she must be shown her weakness. They all understood what that meant. 2 nights later, Marcus walked through one of the palace gardens, enjoying the quiet after a long day. The moons above cast soft blue light over the stone paths. Flowers from another world filled the air with a strange, sweet scent. Suddenly he felt something behind him. He turned just in time to see a Varelian soldier rushing at him with a short blade. Marcus dodged to the side, rolled, and grabbed a broken branch from the ground. The soldier attacked again. Marcus blocked once, then twice, and struck back hard. The attacker fell with a sharp cry. Before Marcus could catch his breath, two more figures stepped out from the shadows. He was outnumbered, unarmed, tired. He was ready to fight anyway. But then, shouting, royal guards poured into the garden, weapons drawn. The attackers tried to flee but were captured within moments, and walking behind the guards, her eyes burning with quiet rage, was Queen Aracyn. Marcus sat in a small room, getting his shoulder bandaged by a palace medic. Aracyn stood nearby, silent. He looked at her. "Your people really don't like me." "They weren't just trying to hurt you," she said. "They were sending me a message." She sat beside him, looking tired. "General Casal wants control of the army. He believes I am unfit to lead. This attack was not just against you. It was a warning that more will come unless I give up this path." "And will you?" Marcus asked. She met his eyes. "No." The next morning, something changed. In front of the full court, nobles, generals, and advisors, Queen Aracyn stepped onto the central platform with her sword in hand. "I am your queen," she said, her voice clear. "But I will not rule the way my father did. Strength does not come from tradition. It comes from truth, from learning, and from change." Gasps and murmurs filled the hall. She pointed the sword at General Casal. "I challenge you to the right of blades. If you believe I am unworthy, then face me in combat. Let the gods of steel decide." Casal froze for a moment, then stepped forward. "As you wish," he said, drawing his own sword. "Let the people see what your Terran teacher has truly given you." That night, Marcus stood beside the queen in the training yard. "You don't need to fight like me," he said softly. "You need to fight like you, with the lessons you've learned." Aracyn nodded, gripping her sword tightly. She was not just a queen anymore. She was a warrior, and tomorrow the entire empire would see that. The citadel of glass blades was alive with tension. Whispers floated like shadows through the marble halls. The Rite of Blades was hours away, and every corner of the palace buzzed with nervous energy. Captain Marcus Hale stood in the training courtyard beside Queen Aracyn. She was sharpening her sword carefully, her golden eyes focused but calm. Her silver-blue skin shimmered faintly under the warm glow of the twin suns. Though her hands were steady, Marcus could feel the weight of what was to come pressing on. Her shoulders. "Are you ready?" Marcus asked quietly. Aracyn looked up. "I have no choice. If I fail, the empire falls to chaos. Casal will take everything from me, my throne, my people, my future." Marcus nodded. "Then fight, like you've already won." Meanwhile, far from the throne room, a darker plan was unfolding. General Casal met with his closest allies in a hidden chamber beneath the citadel. The air was cold and stale. The walls were made of heavy stone, thick with the history of wars past. "We must ensure the queen does not win," Casal said, his voice low but sharp like a blade. One of his men, a silent figure named Tark, nodded. "I have a plan. Before the duel, I will send a message to the Threx fleet nearby. They will attack while the court is distracted." Casal smiled cruelly. "Good. Let the queen face death on two fronts. If she survives this, she deserves to rule. But she will not." Back in the main hall, nobles gathered for the duel. The High Circle, the most powerful leaders in the Varelian Empire, sat on raised seats, watching carefully. Aracyn entered the arena, holding the Terran sword tightly. Her heart raced, but her voice was steady as she spoke. "This duel is not just for me," she said loudly. "It is for the future of Virelia, for those who believe strength means learning, change, and unity." Casal stepped forward, drawing his own heavy Varelian blade, glowing faintly with plasma energy. "Your words are weak," he sneered. "Strength is power, and power is mine." The duel began. Aracyn moved quickly, using the lessons Marcus had taught her. She did not rely on raw power like Casal. Instead, she watched his movements carefully, dodging and parrying with precision. Casal was strong, but his attacks were predictable, fast, brutal, but direct. Aracyn waited for the right moment. Suddenly, Casal lunged with a powerful strike, aiming to end the fight. Aracyn twisted, stepping aside, and with a swift motion she brought her sword down on his forearm. Sparks flew as her blade cut through his armor. The crowd gasped, but just then the ground trembled. A loud explosion rocked the city. Outside the walls, alarms blared. The Threx fleet had arrived. Panic spread through the citadel. Casal used the chaos to his advantage. With a roar, he charged at Aracyn, pushing her back with heavy blows. Marcus shouted from the side, "Hold your ground, your majesty!" Aracyn gritted her teeth and fought harder. Each strike was filled with determination, not just to win the duel but to protect her people. Suddenly, the duel was interrupted by a violent attack on the outer gates. Varelian guards rushed past the arena, shouting orders. Casal sneered. "This is only the beginning," he said, backing away. "The Empire will fall." Aracyn raised her sword to the crowd. "We fight together," she shouted. "Not as Varelians or Terrans, but as one people." The crowd fell silent for a moment, then cheered. Marcus stepped forward. "I will help you organize the defense." That night, the citadel was transformed into a fortress. Marcus and Aracyn moved quickly, rallying soldiers and preparing traps. "We cannot hold the city forever," Marcus said. "But if we use guerrilla tactics, we can make the Threx pay for every inch." Aracyn nodded. "And we will show them that Varelia is not an easy world to conquer." Together, they planned a bold counterattack. In the deep tunnels beneath the city, Aracyn trained with Marcus late into the night. "You have come far," Marcus said. "But remember, fighting is not just about strength. It's about knowing yourself and your enemy." Aracyn paused, looking at her reflection in a small pool of water. "I am no longer the queen my father raised," she said softly. "I am something new." Marcus smiled. "A warrior of two worlds." Outside, the Threx ships hovered, waiting for the dawn. But inside the citadel, hope burned bright. The queen with the human sword was ready. The day of the Rite of Blades had arrived. The twin suns of Varelia Prime rose high in the sky, casting long shadows across the citadel's central arena. The air was thick with heat and anticipation. Crowds of nobles, soldiers, and citizens packed the grand stands, eager to witness the challenge between Queen Aracyn and General Casal. Marcus Hale stood behind Aracyn, feeling the steady weight of the Terran sword in her hand. She looked calm but determined, her eyes shining with fierce resolve. "You've trained hard," Marcus said quietly. "Trust your instincts. Fight your way." Aracyn nodded. "I am ready." The horn sounded, a deep note that echoed through the arena. The duel began. Casal charged immediately, his plasma blade blazing with raw power. He swung wide, each strike designed to crush. But Aracyn moved with surprising grace, stepping lightly and blocking his blows with precision. The Terran sword flashed as she parried and countered. The crowd gasped. Many had expected the queen to fall quickly, but now she stood firm. Casal's face twisted with anger. "You are weak," he spat. "You wield a blade you do not understand." Aracyn met his gaze steadily. "I wield what I have learned." The duel continued, fierce and fast. Casal used strength and speed, but Aracyn relied on strategy. She waited for openings, dodging the brutal swings and striking at the right moments. As the sun passed its peak, sweat ran down both their faces. Neither gave ground. Marcus watched closely. He saw something new in Aracyn. Not just skill, but confidence. The queen was becoming more than a ruler. She was becoming a true warrior. Suddenly, Casal feinted left but attacked from the right. Arison barely blocked the blow, the plasma blade sparking against her sword. The crowd held its breath. With a quick twist, Arison pushed forward, driving Casal back. She pressed her advantage, her strikes sharp and deliberate. Casal stumbled. Then, with a final strike, Arison disarmed him, knocking the plasma blade from his hand. The arena fell silent. Casal looked up at Arison, chest heaving, face red. With fury and disbelief, Arison held her sword steady. "The right of blades is over. I have proven my right to lead." The high circle of nobles murmured among themselves. Then, one by one, they rose to their feet, their voices echoing in the arena. "Long live Queen Arison!" The queen turned to Marcus and smiled, a rare, genuine smile. "I could not have done this without you." Marcus shook his head. "You had it in you all along. I just helped you find it." But celebration was short-lived. A messenger burst into the arena, breathless. "The Threx fleet has launched a surprise attack on the outer colonies," he shouted. "They are advancing faster than expected." Arison's smile vanished. She turned to the crowd. "We will not let fear rule us," she declared. "Prepare for war!" The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of orders and preparations. Arison and Marcus moved quickly, organizing defenses and rallying troops. "Your leadership has given people hope," Marcus told her. "But the Threxi are relentless. We must be smarter." Arison nodded. "Then we fight with mind and sword." That night, under the twin moons, Arison and Marcus trained in the quiet courtyard. "You have changed more than your fighting style," Marcus said. "You've changed your people." Arison looked at the stars. "I want my empire to survive, but not as it was. We will be stronger because we learn, because we adapt." Marcus smiled. "That's the way of humans." Suddenly, the ground shook. Violently, explosions rocked the city walls. The Threx had begun their attack on the citadel. Guards shouted as alarms blared. Arison drew her sword and turned to Marcus. "This is our trial by fire." Together they ran toward the breach, ready to fight not just for the throne, but for the future of Virelia. The sound of alarms filled the citadel of glass blades. The walls shook as Threx war machines slammed against the city's outer gates. Fires lit the night sky, casting eerie shadows over the ancient towers. Queen Arison stood on the battlements, gripping the Terran sword tightly. Beside her was Captain Marcus Hale, scanning the horizon with sharp eyes. "The Threx have brought a whole fleet," Marcus said. "They want to crush us before we can organize." Arison nodded. "Then we will show them that Virelia is not so easy to break." Inside the citadel, soldiers hurried to their stations. The once peaceful city had turned into a fortress of steel and determination. The Virelian warriors, known for their fierce pride, now fought alongside human soldiers under Marcus's command. Marcus moved quickly, giving orders. "Split into squads. Use the tunnels for surprise attacks. Draw the Threx into narrow streets where their machines can't move easily." Arison led a group of elite guards to the front line, her sword shining under the flickering fires. Her presence inspired the soldiers. They fought harder, knowing their queen was with them. The first clash was brutal. Threx machines smashed through the gates, firing energy weapons. Virelian defenders used their plasma spears and blades to cut down the invaders. The battle was chaos, screams, explosions, and the clash of metal. Arison moved through the fight like a force of nature. She swung her Terran sword with skill and power, cutting down enemies that got too close. Soldiers rallied behind her, feeling hope where there had been fear. Marcus fought nearby, coordinating attacks and supporting squads that were surrounded. As the night deepened, the Threx pushed harder. A massive war machine approached the citadel's main gate, its metal legs stomping like thunder. Marcus knew this could break their defense. He grabbed a communicator. "Arison, I have a plan, but it's risky." She nodded. Tell me. We'll use the old tunnels beneath the city to sneak around and strike the war machine's power. Source! If we destroy it, the rest will retreat. Arison's eyes burned with determination. Lead the way! The tunnels were dark and narrow. Marcus and a team of warriors moved quickly, their footsteps echoing off cold stone. They reached the heart of the machine, a glowing core protected by metal plates and guards. With careful precision, Marcus planted explosives around the core. The tension was high. One mistake could mean death. Ready, Marcus whispered. He pressed the detonator. A loud explosion shook the tunnels. Above, the war machine faltered. Sparks flew as it stumbled and crashed. The Threx forces slowed, confused and unsure. Arison seized the moment. She led a charge through the broken gate, sword flashing in the firelight. The Threx began to retreat. Victory came at a cost. Many Varelian warriors lay wounded or dead. The citadel was scarred, but it stood. Arison knelt beside a fallen soldier. "Your courage will not be forgotten," she said softly. Marcus approached. "You fought well, Your Majesty. You fought like a true queen." She looked at him, eyes shining with gratitude and pain. "I learned from the best." Days passed. The Threx fleet retreated, but the war was far from over. Arison knew this victory was only the beginning. She stood on the citadel's highest tower, looking out at the stars. "This empire will survive," she said quietly. "Because we fight," Marcus added. "Because we change," Arison finished. Together, they prepared for the battles ahead, stronger, united, and ready. The stars above Varelia were calm again. The smoke of war had cleared. Broken towers were being rebuilt. The people, though tired, walked with pride in their hearts. Queen Arison stood on a balcony of the citadel, looking down at her city. The same place that had once doubted her now sang her name. The same warriors who had once questioned her strength now followed her with loyalty and respect. Her silver-blue armor shone in the morning sun, and the Terran sword rested at her side, no longer a symbol of weakness, but one of change. Behind her, Captain Marcus Hale stepped out, his arms crossed and eyes thoughtful. "You did it," he said simply. Arison smiled. "No, we did it." For the next several days, the Queen and Marcus worked closely. Together, they created new training programs for the army, combining Varelian power with human tactics. Young warriors learned how to think before they struck. Officers began to study human battle history, learning the value of patience, deception, and strategy. "Victory isn't always about strength," Marcus told the young soldiers. "It's about surviving, adapting, and fighting smart." Arison agreed. "We are no longer just the children of the past. We are building something new." Her voice echoed through the chambers of power. But not all challenges were over. A message came from deep space. A small Varelian outpost on the edge of the galaxy had been attacked again, this time not by the Threx, but by another species that had once feared the Varelians. They no longer feared them now. Marcus frowned as he read the report. "They're testing you. They think your empire is weak after the Threx War." Arison nodded slowly. "Then we must show them we are not just survivors. We are leaders." She turned to Marcus. "But this time, I will not fight for survival. I will fight for peace, for unity." Later that night, Arison and Marcus stood in the empty training courtyard, the place where it all began. She picked up the Terran sword and looked at it for a long moment. Then she walked over to Marcus and held it out. "I want you to take it," she said. Marcus was surprised. "You earned that sword." She nodded. "I did. But this sword came from Earth. It taught me more than just how to fight. It taught me how to lead and how to listen. And I want it to return to where it came from, as a symbol, Marcus hesitated, then took the blade. It felt heavier now, not because of its weight, but because of its meaning. "You're serious," he said. Orison smiled. "I am. Besides, I have my own sword now." She lifted a new blade made of Verelian crystal and steel. It gleamed with a purple-blue light. Elegant, powerful, balanced, just like her. The next day, Marcus prepared to return to Earth. Orison walked with him to the docking bay. All around them, soldiers stood at attention. Even the nobles who once doubted her now bowed their heads in respect. "You're not just my teacher anymore," she told him. "You are a part of Verelia's story now, and you're a part of ours," Marcus said. "Earth will remember this." As he stepped onto the ship, Orison raised her hand in a Verelian salute, palm open, fingers spread, symbolizing strength and wisdom. Marcus saluted back in the Terran way, 2 fingers, to his forehead, then to his heart. "Until we meet again," she said. He nodded. "Keep fighting smart." As the ship lifted into the stars, Queen Orison stood alone on the launch platform. She was no longer the same queen who once asked a human for help. She was a leader shaped by 2 worlds, holding the future in her hands like a blade, sharp, steady, and ready. And across the galaxy, in places that once saw Verelians as enemies, a new message began to spread. They have changed, they have learned, and now they are more dangerous than ever. But not because they were cruel. Not because they were stronger, because they had become something no empire expected, united, wise, and human enough to adapt.